Hey, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I hope you're in your subscription today. And if you've been a subscriber for a while, I'm so sorry for not uploading a video in the last 2 months. I have been here. I've been working on a very special project for my brother-in-law. I couldn't post a video because I didn't want him to see it. Now it's not a car, it's nothing motorized, doesn't even have wheels. But it is very special. It took a lot of thought, it took a lot of effort, and I think it came out fantastic. So I'm going to show you that now.
So what I'm going to make here is a river table. Here's just some ideas I got from online. I really like the black in this one, but I have a special idea to do to my table. This is kind of a drawing I did to throw together, colored it up here, and then you'll get to see the legs here, and I got something special going in those circle areas. And this is the wood I'm going to use. Walnut. So this isn't going to look like this, obviously. This here, I'm going to cut this out. Just the T. This is pretty thick metal. And that's going to be recessed into the wood right here. See the mark? That's where the T goes. And then Thompson. There'll be something else probably engraved into the wood here. And then this is the epoxy river. And then right here, where this triangle is, will be a flag. First thing I need to do is make a box for the table so we can pour the epoxy. Now, I just got some plywood. It's actually rather thin. So we're going to take this clear packing tape and we're going to cover this whole entire thing. So yeah, now it's all 100% covered in tape. Ooh. Now for the sides and ends. Okay, so after the entire bottom was covered in packing tape, I then stapled on sides and ends. And this is a vinyl wrap. I thoroughly cleaned it, and then I laid down some silicone in all the corners. There, you know what I'm saying? So nothing should leak out. Plus it'll be reinforced once we get the wood in there. So the next step is I actually have to spray some mold release in there and wipe it down. But we're not ready to go to that point yet. We're actually gonna work on the wood just a little bit. We're gonna let this silicone dry. And on the wood, we're going to do a little bit of sanding and maybe a little bit of pre-sealing of the ends, or not the ends, but the river side of the table. I'll show you what I mean. Okay, so I have kind of roughed this area up just a little bit for something for the epoxy to grab onto, but I'm also going to seal both of these ends, pre-seal them. I'm going to brush on a layer of epoxy just so it can soak in and try to eliminate as many bubbles as possible in the final product. Because these little areas in here where it soaks into the open grain will actually create bubbles in your finished product if you don't try to eliminate that issue beforehand. So like I said, I'm going to do a pre-coat of epoxy on both of these. Let that dry. We still got to let the caulking dry in there before we spray on our mold release. But in order for those two to dry, because silicone takes a long time to dry, we're going to go ahead and pre-treat these. All right, so I have a 2-to-1 mixture of base resin and hardening epoxy. I've been mixing for about 2 minutes. Now you can see there's a ton of bubbles in there, right? So we're going to let this stand for about 2 minutes, 5 minutes. I mean, it has a very long dry time, a lot of working time. So I'm gonna let this stand for a bit, let the bubbles come out. Even though I'm brushing this on, I still don't need the added aggravation of all those bubbles. We'll just wait for a few minutes. We use some fire, now it's all gone. Thought I recorded it, but I did not. So now we're just gonna use our throwaway brush here, and we're gonna brush the ends here. Not the ends, but the open, you know what I'm saying. So now it's already been cleaned out as well. So now I'm going to be spraying some amazing mold release So for some reason, the pour didn't come out on video. This is one of many pours that I did. It's only about an inch thick, maybe not even that thick. I wanted to do a nice base coat, and then I have some ideas for coming up through the layers. A lot of my pours didn't show up on video for some reason, but I will show you the after effects of each pour that I did. So this is the second pour I did, and I added some mica powder to this pour. It is also about an inch thick. I started doing other things after this layer, so this layer was kind of important. I want to show the mica powder. You need special epoxy to do deep pours, and that's anything over an eighth or a quarter of an inch thick. This is deep pour epoxy. It takes a long time to dry, usually a few days. Okay, check this out. See the blue?
Start it up.
Super faint. And you don't see it. And it's going to be, you can see it's got waves in it. And then there'll be another coat or two of epoxy over the top. Okay, one more time. I got the red stripes painted on there. And you can't really tell, honestly. And then this is the blue part of the flag. I have to do the stars tomorrow. But, you know, then you go with the light. You can see the blue for sure. And you can see the red tint. And it's wavy. I had to redo the blue. I put a coat over the black, over the red.
This is lit.
I think it actually looks amazing. Obviously the flag goes this way. But it will mostly look black until you shine a light on it. This is what I'm mixing for the stars. You can clearly see the dividing line in the middle between part A and part B. The tabletop epoxy is a 1-to-1 mixture, unlike the deep pour. The deep pour was a 2-to-1 mixture. This, you can really only go a quarter of an inch thick at the thickest. They prefer 1/8 inch thick coats, which would mean I would need to do at least two more coats, maybe 3 to finish this off. We'll see. Anyway, this is for the stars. I'm gonna mix this up. Mica powder. This is a pearl white, and I can't take the lid off with just one hand. Oh, yes I can. Come on. Come on. Oh, gotta be careful, I don't want to spill this. It's already getting little sparklies everywhere. Look at that. I'm gonna put very little bit in here because I don't want it to show up too much. Literally, that's all I'm doing. That's it. Now I'm gonna use that same stick to stir it. And I'll put the lid back on this so I don't spill it. Okay, be right back. Gotta mix it. Okay, I gotta hold that. So I let the epoxy stand for about 5 minutes. That's to let, after mixing, which I had to mix for 5 minutes, very slowly. This is much different than the deep pour epoxy. You gotta follow the directions exactly, otherwise you're gonna have some issues when you're doing your epoxy. I could use a power tool while mixing the other epoxy. This epoxy you cannot. You have to mix this by hand. So if you're mixing a lot, like a gallon, which I think is the max that they recommend, you mix at one time, you're gonna be tired. This stuff's thick. Anyway, so I let the bubbles rise. I'm gonna use a torch to pop those, and we're gonna start painting on the stars. All right. Okay, see ya. Bye. Okay, I've got mica powder everywhere here because, well, I blew a little extra. I didn't believe there was enough in the stars. I want them to show up a little bit. Obviously, there's a lot of mica powder like here. None of this is, I mean, it will come off. But I was just trying to blow a little extra mica in there. I mean, it honestly, dude, it's going to be very faint. But that's what I wanted anyway. So I've got that mica powder everywhere. It's floating in the air in my shop. It's all over my hands, probably all over my face. So I have about 3.5 hours to wait before I can top coat this thing. So we're gonna wait for 3.5 hours. Unfortunately, it's not even lunchtime yet, so I can't even like order lunch. I gotta wait for 2 hours for lunch. Order, eat lunch, then after we're done with lunch, we'll do a top, clean this, get all the extra mica powder off of here. And then we will do our final coat of epoxy up here. Maybe 2, it depends. Like I said, they only like about 1/4 of an inch at the thickest. And I have to go, I mean, I'm planing this, so, but I don't want to plane that much. I'd love to fill it all the way up. Get it done. Get her done! But we'll do 2 pours, just so it doesn't get damaged. Final pour. Very faint. No light shining on it directly. Well, I mean there is, but that's pretty much exactly what I wanted. That's with the lights on. I have another 5 hours to wait before I can take the frame off of that thing. So let's build some stuff. Okay, so I built this entire planing jig off camera. I didn't do any of it under video because I just wanted to get it done. So it's pretty simple. There's a lot of videos online to do this. Dog, you need to go lay down somewhere else. I made 1 pass already with the router, and I took off a very, very small amount. But it came out really, really nice, so I'm just gonna keep going. All right, so let's check it out. I made my first pass. Now I have a giant mess to clean up. Probably should have used the vacuum. Nah, let's put sawdust everywhere. Wow, that's so cool. Looks really pretty. I know. So the bottom side of the table has been planed down. It is perfectly flat, left, right, up, down, east, west, north, south, every single way. All right, so, and now I have an absolute massive mess to clean up. Holy cow, that took all day. But the other side, this side, what can I say about this side? It looks great. I've just wiped it down with some alcohol. Obviously, you can still see the flag in there, right? It needs more. It's been sanded down all the way to 180. No additional filling, like some of this chatter marks here from the router. But I mean, it gets another flood coat over the top here, so I'm not too worried about it. So the next step is for this table. This is, like I said, this is down to 180. 220 is where we'll go next to make sure it's perfectly smooth. Not ready to go there yet. We have to cut the ends, make it square, make sure these sides are also square. And then we will possibly lay out the name and do the other thing I want to do. Yeah. Nice and straight, beautiful. Already planed and, or I don't know what the heck I'm calling edging. Who knows? But I did this whole side and sanded it, so it looks great. So this came out much better than the first flag. Nice and smooth. The stars are still sticking out, and you'll see why that's important. I was hoping to still see the thread. But I'm not so sure that's going to show up. It's only about 1.25 inches thick now, so that's great. But so I just got to let this dry. Okay, man, this thing is just coming out super bitchin'. Yeah, I said bitchin'. I've got all the sides routered as far as like cut perfectly smooth. I mean, they need to be sanded. There's like router marks in there. Then I put this nice little bevel on the bottom. This is the bottom of the table. It goes all the way around, but man, it sure looks cool. I mean, I haven't even sanded the bottom yet at all. This has to be sanded starting with, 80. Get these router marks out of there. But sure looks pretty. And this flag was just about perfect for doing the gold leaf on in a couple of days. Obviously it has to dry. It's still pretty soft, obviously. But it sure came out much nicer than the first one. We'll be able to see these stars. I mean, they're still elevated. You can see the indentation here. Looks great. There's one more, right? So when I do the gold leafing on here, these stars will stand out. So this is where the gold leafed flag will go. Again, it's going to be recessed into the table. So, and then the name is going to be up here. This is beautiful. No bubbles. Get rid of all the bubbles. So when this turns clear, it's ready for the gold. So I have the T fabricated, and it's out of some plate. It's really, I didn't really show any of that fab work. Just basically cutting and grinding to make it look, like it does. I need to tack it together where these marks are, right here, or right there, and there. Just to kind of give it, get rid of the lines, and then I can kind of sand it up, polish it off, and plate it. Or not plate it, but, leaf it. Cool. So I've got a top coat on there now. It's just under, You know, it's 16th under still. This one's a little closer, but yeah, man, I tell you what, the tee looks so cool. Okay, and then I put a little bit more around the flag. Flag needs another 2 or 3 coats. We'll come back in about 5 hours to check to see what the status of this is. Whee! I'd like to give very special thanks to my buddy Neil at Half Cast. He's the one that helped me do the laser etching in the table. Welding up some legs. They're upside down. But yeah, welding up some legs. Gotta have legs. What's a table without legs? Just what, a wooden mat? Giant cutting board? I don't know. Gotta keep working though. Can't be just standing here, hold the camera and stuff. All right, I have to weld in a cross brace, but I've adjusted these. They're sitting exactly where they need to sit. So now I know where I can cut these off and make little feet and mortise those into the table and then set the anchors. But I do want to put in a cross brace in here that'll help with twisting, and it'll also help with lateral stability. So we're getting ready to put epoxy on the bottom of the table. My last video crashed my phone where I mortised in all the feet, but it looks really nice. I guess you'll get to see when it's all together. Man, and that's the bottom of the table. That's one coat. So this has to dry. I got to lightly sand it, and then I got to put another coat on and sand that one as well. Final coat of epoxy. Man, that looks like glass. Even though this is the underside of the table, you can see the mica powder. Wow, this is really good.
Hey everybody, so that's going to do it for today's video. Please hit that like and subscribe, and we'll get you back into cars on the next video. All right, talk to you later. I'm out.